this shit caught me off guard because he usually has a countdown. Riverside has changed stuff, but I've got the immaculate one with us once again. Ryder Lee. Ryder, how you doing, man?
What's up, brother? I'm so glad that this thing is about to be over with, bro. We only got 2 more episodes. Thank God, bro. This thing is complete and utter dog shit trash, and I am ready for it to be over.
A crash and burn. Are you saying that we would have an official crash and burn on this?
Crash and burn, run it off of a cliff, hit it with a train, a meteor, or a fucking moon, collapse the moon in on it, supernova, this shit. Just get rid of it, dude. This is garbage.
If you guys are not aware of what we're speaking about, of course, Ryder here with us, The Last of Us, episode 5. Okay, episode 5. Um, we had to do 3 and 4 into one big show. So if you haven't caught that yet, definitely go check that out. Okay, check out all of it. All right. Maybe the show's not as great as it should be, but I believe our commentary is well worth it. So, so definitely go scope that out. But episode 5. Okay, we got a little bit of action here. We've got a feeling of a little bit of action going on. Um, it's still, I still can't fully. Now they tried to grasp it at the end, which it started moving us towards that. But um, I'm really missing like Ellie's complete psychotic break to where anything that's in her way is getting put down. Nothing but unfiltered, unmitigated, unregulated rage. I think that's what I was looking. All right. And I'm not quite getting. All right. Not quite getting.
Yeah, so that
But
is what I
she's almost
wanted
good.
to. That is what I wanted from the very beginning. And it's too little too late. It's too little too late, Cubed, for this to happen at the end of this episode. And the next episode is going to be one giant freaking flashback, which is a whole other story, which is completely retarded. But okay, this whole triangulating the radio signals and like all that, like
Mm-hmm.
that should have been the first thing that they did. Okay, but instead they've made this entire show about the relationship between Dina and Ellie. And I still don't know exactly what the main mission of this entire thing is. They have hardly brought up Joel at all. Joel being murdered. They screwed all this up with the 3 month time jump. In from the second to third episode. They should not have done a 3 month time jump. That screwed everything up. Okay.
Right.
Should not have done it. But that should have been the first thing that they did. But instead, we went into this whole romantic relationship, finger bang, last of the finger bang of The Last of Us. Okay, and uh, they should have they should have immediately went instead of doing all this relationship nonsense garbage. They should have went to the WLF facility where they found the walkie-talkie. They should have brought it back. Ellie should have. We should have already have ran into somebody by now. We should have already have ran into someone in the third episode from Abby's crew. Okay.
Right.
It didn't have to be old girl shaved head, which there's a lot of controversy
No
running
worries.
on about
Yeah.
her
No.
right now with this new game by Naughty Dog that's coming out that's called Intergalactic or whatever. There's like this whole other big controversy with her. Okay, so not only do you have the controversy with her being in the show with a new game by Naughty Dog, which Naughty Dog was the one that created the Last of Us games, but you also have the big controversy with Ellie in the Last of Us. So you have two different people with two different controversies going on, and the show getting supposedly review bombed. Okay, that's what they're calling it. Is that these toxic masculinity
Oh Lord.
people are going in and review bombing the show to drop the rating on Metacritic, IMDb, and Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, that's what they're putting it out for the public is going on. And they never think, oh, maybe we're just making a complete shit show. Maybe this show is just garbage. Maybe the writing sucks. Maybe we made a mistake by killing off Joel. Everything from the knowledge that I've gained from looking into this is the exact same complaints that people have with season 2 of the show, is the exact same complaints that everybody had with the second game. And what they did with the second game is they tried to say that it was a bunch of incel people like gamers that didn't like the second game. So then they just kept re-releasing the entire thing. But now they're realizing that the writing just fucking sucks. This show just sucks. They should have rewritten it to be better. They should have taken all the complaints from all the people from the second game and fixed them in the writing of the second season, but they didn't. And they somehow made it worse. From what I've garnered from everybody that's been talking about this, the even the things that they liked about the second game are not in the second season of the Last of
Right,
Us.
right, right, right. Now, one of the things that I've seen, of course, you're going to have different things across the board. You know, you could say game, but the thing about the second game is that you never knew what the hell, why Abby did what she did until like way down the line in the game. Also, if I'm correct, Ellie never really knows why Abby killed Joel. But that's she never really knows. She just knows it happened. But they never get into the details. Nora doesn't tell her, you know, down there while they're in the basement at the hospital. It's like, Joel killed her father. Like Ellie didn't know that. Now, the biggest complaint some of the complaint that people had about the end of the second one is the fact that Ellie didn't kill her. She let her go and let her live. They said after all these folks you done kill, you done got to the and is it not a cliche in a whole lot of films? Well, if I kill them, then I keep the cycle of violence going, and I'm just as bad as they are. Well, I mean, you done already killed. They were like, Abby, you done killed hundreds of people on the way to, like, mowed through folks. So
Well, the whole thing is just
I'm here
completely
now.
ridiculous.
So
I don't know what direction they're trying to go. Is this supposed to be woman power? Is this supposed to be the freaking muffin for surviving the apocalypse? Is all that you got to be is lesbian? Is that it? Is that what they're trying to tell us? How you survive the apocalypse, X cubed, is you just got to be gay. That's it. But okay, let's just take, even if we were to take the gay stuff out of it, and honestly, I really don't care that too much about the gay stuff. Whatever, it is what it is. But even if you were to look past all of that stuff within the show, what are you left with? You're left with nothing. You're left with a very lacking story that has horrible writing that makes absolutely no sense with this mission to them going to Washington to get revenge for Joel. It's not even about that. And then we get toward the end of the episode, we finally see her kind of like rage out, but that's the main thing. Like, I don't even know why I'm continuing to watch the show. If we weren't doing this show on this, I wouldn't even watch it. I wouldn't. But I would have watched the first season because this first season was freaking great. But I don't understand their angle. They've spent the last 2 episodes building up Ellie and Dina as like this power couple that can survive this and go in and take out all of these people and get revenge for Joel's death. Okay. And then they come in and completely undercut that entire thing with Jesse showing up and saving them
yeah, to save them.
at the perfect time. So what are they? Are they badass lesbian people that can handle themselves no matter what the situation is and find Joel's killer and take her out? Or are they helpless and stupid? I mean, the first 10 minutes of this entire episode was setting up how stupid Ellie is.
Yeah, they got her as like a dumbass. Like she doesn't know how to do anything. She can't read a map. She doesn't have a plan. You know, and actually Dina had to give her the reason why she was going to find Abby to kill her. You know, because Dina talks about the first people she had to kill, or the first person she had to kill.
And then Ellie's like, let's just go back to Jackson. Like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding me
I'm
right
like,
now?
I'm supposed to see unfiltered rage, like unfiltered. Like, and look, some people are like, when they see in the movies, they wouldn't be able to do that. Look, I don't even care about that. If they gave me some unrealistic Ellie going through, slicing folks' Achilles, cutting their throat, shoot another person in the face, almost John Wick type thing, I would be completely fine with it because it
Yeah,
would
that's
be the
what we wanted.
concept that like this amount of rage and revenge that's on her mind and it's kind of taking over her soul and her whole spirit to where anything that's in her way she's looking to smush it out. I mean that would even make it more exciting. You know what I'm saying? You could put her in some dangerous situations and tussles, but you know what I'm saying? Her unfiltered rage would be able to overcome those situations.
Dude, I read this article, okay, from the producers of the show that said that they purposefully, whatever. People yell at me for my pronunciation of words here, X Cube. So I don't know what the fuck the name of the word is, purposefully or purposely. Who knows? Yeah, I'm going to go with
Yeah,
purposefully
one of them.
because I'm from the South and that's the way that I'm going to say it. But I read an article, okay, that said that the producers of the show took out the scenes of Ellie going through and murking people on purpose. They didn't want that in there, and they took all of that out for the relationship aspect between her and Dina. So they favored Ellie going through her vacation romance with Dina over Ellie being a badass and murking and killing people and trying to find Abby.
We need the murder. Like that's what I was looking for. I was like, okay, Joel died. It was. I mean, you want to talk about a life altering moment right there in front of your eyes. You see him get beat to death and stabbed in the neck. Like I was saying, okay, so folks are going down, you know, fast and in a hurry, and for the most part, hey, she's only taking out one person. That's the person that when they were in the theater, she stabbed him in the neck.
Which she struggled to do that to begin with. Okay, let's get into some of the things that I did like about it because we're going to shit on this thing for the whole hour. But I want to get into a few things that I did like because some people will be
Okay,
like, "Oh,
okay.
well, you're just shit. You guys are just shitting on this thing the whole time." One of the things that I did like was from the cult religious people whenever they went into the forest. Okay,
The
that was
fire
pretty cool.
Seraphites.
But again, that didn't even really make any sense either because you're telling me all these Seraphite people that is part of this religious cult are just out in the woods with giant freaking torches, immediately alerting everybody to their exact location. And they got
I think
bows
you were
and
maybe
guns
shitting
and
on
sticks and knives and shit. They don't have any
it.
guns, bro. The military dudes that are prepared that has guns could literally go into that forest and murk all those fools right then and there.
Oh no, no, you heard when they say, "Oh shit, the park, don't go in the park." I mean, it's just like yeah, because they've got that with that they got that sonar because they whistle and somehow it bounces off objects, kind of like Daredevil. You're able to see shit.
Yeah, so you're telling me that 50 people out in the middle of the woods with torches are going to be able to get those torches out in a quick enough time period when soldiers are moving in and has guns? I don't think so, bro. That's just the ridiculous part. But the cool scene was whenever he stuck that was a sickle or
The
whatever
black
in the
ritual, yeah,
yeah in
yeah,
the
they got a
dude's stomach
ritual of how
and
to kill
ripped
people.
him up from the thing. That was a badass scene. But again, we don't understand
Anything
anything
about them.
about them. We don't know what their deal is other than that they're warring with the WLF people. That's all that we know. And then we had the introduction of the new big bad guy new big boss. We haven't seen Abby since since episode 2. We
Yeah,
haven't
we
even
hadn't.
seen her. We don't know. And then they introduced this new guy in the beginning of the last episode,
Yeah,
episode
4, and he
4,
wasn't in 5.
and he wasn't in 5. Like, what is going on, bro? This shit makes zero sense. What are they doing?
Yeah, because yeah, that is weird. Because okay, so Isaac is in the game. All right, kind of pseudo leader of WLF. Um, and I do the particular actor. I can't think of his name. I love him as far as in his roles in movies. He's got like a, I don't know, like a certain aura to him that just like, I don't know, just attract, like, I don't know, he has camera presence. You know, you can, certain actors have camera presence. And so one of my favorite roles that he played in was Boardwalk Empire. He was one of the bootlegger kingpins. He was on the black side. And I still remember this to today. All right. He walked up to one of the black guys who supposedly uh, had sexually assaulted a woman that they knew, and he said, "It's just the Negro in question." I was like, he looked right down this, he looked right up at me, and I was like, "Oh, buddy, I said, this dude got some great presence." But HBO uses him a lot. He's been in Boardwalk Empire, which is HBO. He was in Westworld, which was HBO. He's in this show, so I don't know if HBO just got the rights to it. Look, we ready, all right. When we make something, we're gonna call you up. But I thought I was gonna see a little bit more of Isaac in this particular episode, whatever his motives are. Maybe a little bit of more of the Warren with the scars. Maybe I figure out what we got going on there. But I really feel like this season is drawing nigh really quick, and it's a little thin. You know, the only thing we've really gotten is that Ellie lost her virginity. Okay, to Poontang virginity. All right, and Dana's knocked
Does
up
that
by
even
Jesse.
count though? Does that count, Cube? I don't know if that
I
counts or
believe
not.
so. It's an insertion. Well, I don't know. What is it? Who does the soaking? Is that the Mormons? Mormons do soaking. Somebody can move the bed. You can bounce the bed, but no thrusting. You can put it in. You can't thrust though, but you can kind of bounce the bed and have it move in and out. That's shit. I'm like, what?
Bounce on the bed, baby.
I'm just like, but I mean, if I'm already in like that, I mean, it's happening. Okay, so
We going to
just sit
pound
back and let,
town if it's in.
yeah, let's let this thing happen. Um, but uh, but yeah, we kind of got a mismatch of stuff going on, and we've seen Isaac, and we're like, okay, he's obviously a prominent character, leader of WLF, and then there's a episode 5, and we don't see him at all. I was like, well, why don't we see him? You know?
Why don't we see him? Why don't we see Abby? Like, this is not a traditional way to tell a story. The plot points are all over the place. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing. The writers on this thing suck giant, huge clits. Okay. And as well as the audience being lost, they are just 100% lost. They don't know where to go. And everything seems so rushed. It's so rushed. I mean, this episode was only like 45 minutes long, bro.
Yeah, that's what my girlfriend said. She's like, is that it? He's like, that was short, wasn't it? I was thinking the same thing.
Like, bro, if you're going to do a 7 episode season, you got to make every one of those episodes almost feature
Hour and
length
a half.
movie long.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. That's to make up for the other 3 episodes that you're not putting into the series. Okay.
Right.
So they're severely rushing this entire thing. They have no idea where they're going with the story. They're making everything about the relationship between Dina and Ellie when that should be secondary to the main plot, to the main story. But then when you find out that Ellie doesn't even freaking kill Dina, like what's the point? What's the point of this whole thing?
Yeah. And you know what's crazy about the episode thing is that I mean, Andor even got 12 episodes. It's like you know what I'm saying? It's like
Bro,
I
how
mean, and
this is going to end.
Star Wars has been atrocious, and but Andor's good. But it's like so y'all this season needs 5 more episodes. It needs 12 episodes with what we've gotten so far, so we can just kind of triangulate on what we got and what season three is going to like. Or season three needs to be 15 episodes. I don't know. I don't know which one it's going to be, but I feel like we're going to be leaving a whole lot on the table here.
See, whenever you do something like this, and whenever you rush it and you have a limited amount of time and everything feels really discombobulated, there's not really any singular plot that's all over the place. You can't set up any of the characters properly. That was
Right.
my main complaint of the very first episode. We don't know
Right.
who Abby is. Okay, I have no idea who Abby is. She just shows up at the grave, and you're supposed to put two and two together on your own that Abby's that this had something to do with the hospital and Joel going through there and murking everybody. Okay, you have to put that together on your own. If you're just if you never played the games, then you got to put this shit together on your own. And I don't like that when it comes to this style of this type of story that they're doing, this apocalyptic story. It's just supposed to immerse you, and you're supposed to understand these characters. You're supposed to have good character development and character background and character story arc building. But you don't
Right.
have
Right.
any of that in this show, in this season. They just put these characters in there and then expect you to know who they are and figure out that they are the bad guy. They're the ones that you're supposed to hate. You're supposed to root for Ellie and at this point, dude, I want the clickers to kill Adina and freaking Ellie. I want the clickers to win, bro. I want
Yeah.
Isaac to kill Ellie. I want Abby to win.
We got somebody on YouTube to left a comment. Shout out to Bella Ramsey for her stellar performance. She had demonic eyes murdering Nora. Now, look, at the end, I thought that's when they really tapped into the psychotic nature of her. And I don't think the actual problem is Bella Ramsey herself. It's just more of how they're trying to write this particular season. Um, which
No,
is they're trying.
I got nothing against Bella. She's fine. I have
Mm,
everything to do with the writers and what they've given her to work with. She can have that
I feel
rage.
like they're
We've seen it.
tiptoeing. I feel like they're tiptoeing, like they don't want to put too much over the top violence in it. I think that's how it feels. I don't know if you feel the same way. Um, and at this point in time, like that's what it should be. We should already have a lot of the character stuff fleshed out. We also need to have some type of interactions with Abby and just seeing what her everyday life's looking like. Because in the game, you actually play as Abby. Like like you don't even know why Abby kills Joel. You just know what happens. Like this, like, that's the way this thing kind of plays out.
Well, they set this whole thing up, Cubed, for us to be sympathetic against Abby, but we know absolutely nothing about Abby. She has not had any character development. We don't know what's going on with her. We don't know where she is. We don't even know if she's in Washington. We haven't even seen her since the second episode. Okay, so how are we supposed to fill anything for her? And what people are theorizing is that the whole third season is going to be from Abby's perspective,
So does
which
that mean they're gonna make a fourth season?
I don't know, but you should be setting these people up, but they're not. They're focusing on the relationship between Dina and Ellie, which makes zero sense to do. I do not care about the relationship. If you're going to have the relationship in there, make it secondary to the main plot, but instead it is the main focus of the entire show, which detracts from the main purpose, which is revenge for Joel. Okay. We have very little setup for Isaac. They threw in one scene that was a 2 minute scene of them in the back of the van, and then he throws a grenade into the tank and blows everybody up. And then we're just supposed to believe that he's a bad guy when we don't even really know the reason that he even did that. And then we have the next scene is him torturing that other dude, which he's a black guy and he's torturing a white guy. It just seems it's just like all this fucking like propagandist type shit. And then you have the like supposedly the entire second game is in reference to the Palestinians and like Israel. Like that's the guy that created and wrote the second game. That was like his whole like his influences was the Palestinians and Israel. Like he sees the Palestinians as like this religious like cult, this religious zealots cult, and that's the people in the woods that are at war with the Israel, and Israel is the WLF.
Um, to respond to Cal, hey, we love people leaving comments in there. That makes the everything more lively. Respond to Callum up here. Yeah, yeah, we understand about Abby and the dad because it kind of just lays it out directly in front of you. I was making some connections with the game because there's a couple of people when the Last of Us seasons come out, all of a sudden it's all over TikTok. People comparing it to the game. And so in the game you don't really know, like you're left in the dark until kind of near the end. But the issue that I have right now is that um, Abby's barely been in it. So I mean, I don't know how she's dealing with things or anything. If she feels relief, if she's still in grief, if she like because in a way, shows are supposed to make you love and hate people. All right, and you're so disconnected from when Joel's died up until right now that you're like, yeah, Abby's almost an afterthought, just with the way they're approaching things. I know they mentioned her name, but in practice of how they've actually constructed the season, it hasn't really given you anything to hold on to if you don't know anything about the game. You know, and I take this from there's my girlfriend's son-in-law. Uh, he's been watching it. He's like, man, I'm kind of lost interest because it's just like what's happening, you know? It's just like okay, Joel's gone, and it's just like we've got episode 3, 4, and 5, and just it just doesn't leave. It's not a whole lot of meat on the bone.
There's
That's
not
the
the
issue.
entire thing is hinging upon Ellie and Dina's relationship. That's the entire show. That's all that it is. Like that, and they think that that is a big enough plot point to keep people coming back every week. But it's been diminishing reviews every single episode since the second episode. Like
Yeah, exactly.
some reports are saying that a 50% drop between episode 1 and episode 2, and then subsequent 50% drops after episode 2. So every new episode of this show has seen a 50% drop in viewership. That's just reported. I don't know if there's any fact, but it has to be. Everyone's feeling this type of thing, unless you're like freaking like super hardcore and freaking
Right,
love this
right.
shit, then you have lost interest because I was willing to give it a shot after Joel died. I was like, okay, they're going to have to bring out the big guns. They're really going to have to get people invested in Ellie. But instead, they've done the complete opposite. They've pushed everybody away from Ellie. And that's not because of the way that she looks, though they want to claim that it has something to do with her and her being bisexual or whatever in like real life, but it doesn't have anything to do, not for me personally, it has nothing to do with how what the actor is going. It's the writing of the show. The writing of the show is complete and utter total garbage, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what direction. There's too many plot points. We have no backstory on any of these characters. Everyone that is currently in the show that we've seen has, besides Ellie, we have just met this season. We
And
just met them.
I ain't gonna lie to you, like it almost okay. So the tone is off because a lot of times it almost seems like Ellie has too much joy. You know what I'm saying? And that's the fact that her love interest is right there, and she high on thin egg. So like I think that's one of the issues is the tone.
And not only that, execute. Oh my God, this one made me roll my eyes so freaking hard. The one in the last episode was the eye roller, which was that Ellie said that I'm going to be a dad. Okay, whatever. Big eye roll. Probably one of the most cringe. That's going to go down as one of the most cringiest moments of 2025, probably. But other than that, in this episode, whenever Jesse shows up, okay, so in the beginning of the episode, Dina is triangulating the thing with the ruler or whatever, and she's trying to figure out where the signals are coming from so they can locate them and go there, right? Well, then Ellie shows up and was like, "Oh, yay! I got the lights on." Well, one, why the fuck would you want lights on in Washington when there's enemies all around you and clickers and zombies and shit? You do not want the lights
Talking
on.
about the same thing.
Now, apparently that is from the game too. They had lights on in the game. Okay, whatever. That's a pass. It's a pass. Whatever. Okay. But then later on, whenever they get into the horde, right? Whenever they're trying to make their way to the hospital and they get into some trouble, because every single time, this is the second time, this is only their second bout with any kind of trouble. Okay. The first one, they narrowly escaped. They narrowly escaped that down in the subway. Okay. If it wouldn't have been for all those clickers, they'd have been gone. They'd been dead or captured or tortured or whatever. Isaac would have them right now. Okay. So they needed another plot point to get them out of any trouble that they're getting in, which I did not think that they were going to do this. I thought that that was going to be Tommy, but it turned out to be Jesse. So Jesse shows up, and then they give you that angle, like it's kind of like what Joel was doing. Like whenever Joel would come in and save her, they kind of give you the like the silhouette of like what Joel would look like. And I was like,
Right, right.
hell yeah, this is fucking Tommy. Okay, cool, Tommy, somebody that looks like Joel, that is Joel's brother. Sweet, but it turned out to be Jesse. Okay, no big deal. But the thing that is a big deal, okay, Cubed, and you're gonna 100% agree with me. Whenever Jesse explains to them how he found where they were. Do you remember this? Whenever he's like, whenever Dina or Ellie was like, "How did you find us?" Okay, he said that he went to the
Oh, the
fucking,
map. Oh, let the map. Yeah.
he went to the lit up theater that has all the fucking lights on, that had a detailed planned map out on the table of exactly where they were going and what they were doing.
Yeah, that is true. I forgot. I tried to. I think my mind tried to erase that. I think that's what happened. Really.
So these
I
people are
think my
so
mind tried to erase it.
stupid. These two hundred and no more than 220-pound girls are so dumb. They left the lights on to the theater whenever they left, and they left the map detailing all of their plans in the precise location out on the table with enemies all around them. Anyone could have stumbled into that theater and found that.
Yeah, this is true. This is absolutely true, and that's I think I yeah. So yeah, it's like bird for brains. You know what I'm saying? Bird for brains. Now, a writer, we said we were going to talk about what we liked. We will flow back. Now, I here. Okay, so let me go. I did like, all right, the interaction with the stalkers. All right. ever how short lived it was. But it's like, okay, here's one we got a plan. Here's what we're gonna do, and then it's like, oh, there's like 10 of them. We're fucked. Okay, so Dina running high uh, in this cage, and I didn't realize that the stalkers could just rip the cage open. I'm like, I mean, humans ain't got no strength like that. I mean, even if you use it, to the maximum capability, I mean, you ain't ripping a steel cage apart. I didn't think you would be, but obviously they can because they were ripping apart to get to Dana. Um, so I did like to see the stalkers again. It was kind of weird when Jesse showed up. He shot one, and the rest of them's like, "Oh shit, there's a man here," you know. And so they bailed. They were like, two women, we got this. Oh shit, a man, let's get out. Uh, Now Jesse did say that Tommy was there, and they split up, which makes no sense because you don't know who all's here. So the last thing you do is split up. We've seen too many horror movies. Let's split up. We'll cover more ground. It's just like, no, don't split up. That's the worst thing you can do is actually split up. All right. What else I like? They did introduce the spores. People weren't sure if they were going to introduce the spores. That was actually big in the game. They had to wear gas masks all the time because areas they went through had spores, and that is a particular evolution of the cordyceps. It actually assimilates people into it, and they remain alive. They don't actually. They're almost like on a life support, and they continually blow out these spores that infect other people. And I guess they had the same thing. Cordyceps start growing around them, and they start blowing out spores, which they had a whole area blocked off. And we seen the actual, I guess one of the lieutenants, and she had to lock her son down there. And Vegas is back into the bad once again because you've got this chick, she's crying, and you're like, okay, she locked her son down there, so what? Like you don't know who she is, so it's just like I maybe that was supposed to be a heartfelt moment or something, but and she was crying, but I was just kind of sitting there like there won't no emotion there because who the hell is this? This Asian chick.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. I mean, and that was kind of it, you know. And one of the dumbest things, and I guess that this happened in the video game as well. But if you're Nora, I know the spores are down there, so it's just like I'm gonna run down there now. If I'm thinking about what she's thinking, she's like, okay, I don't have a weapon, I can't kill Ellie, but at least I can kill her by taking her down here to these spores. We'll both die. Probably she didn't know that she was a me, so that shit didn't work out.
Well, one of the things that I didn't like about the part where they were getting ready to encounter the stalkers was that they did a 2 to 3 minute dialogue between Dina and Ellie about how not to fire the gun. Okay, don't shoot the gun because it's going to alert the soldiers to where we are.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then Ellie is like, "Oh, you think that in any situation that I'm in, I'm just going to start shooting?" And then Dina is like, "Yeah." And then immediately she starts shooting. Like, what was the purpose of having that conversation? If you were
Well, it
just going
got
to
dicey. It
immediately
got
have her
dicey.
start shooting, like it
It
doesn't
got
make,
dicey, right?
huh?
It got dicey. They had all those stalkers around them. It got dicey. And so,
Reminds me of that Danny DeVito, Always Sunny in Philadelphia where he's like, anyways, I just started shooting. And it also reminds me of an old Boondocks episode where the guy was like, telling him, go to the grocery store, get the milk, get the eggs, get the butter, but don't go near that hospital. And then the next scene was, I immediately went to the hospital. Oh, it's crazy. Like it doesn't make any sense. Why even have that scene in there if you're just going to do the opposite? Just do the opposite.
Well,
It's like what they're
yeah, you know,
constantly trying to do is like subvert people's expectations, but it's just completely falling flat. The whole thing is just falling flat. We don't know who these people are. We don't know these characters, and they expect the audience to feel for these characters when we have absolutely no attachment to these characters. The only person that anybody had an attachment to was Joel, and they killed him in the second episode. That's it. No one cares about any of these other people.
yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
does. No
It's
one
purely
cares.
Joel and Ellie's relationship
And then now they're
and
trying to
what they
give
would
it,
do and what they would do for each other. Yeah, to make
and
sure
now
they
they're trying to
survive.
make the big deal about they're putting out articles now about Joel's big return to The Last of Us. He's coming back. You know we killed them, but he's coming back. His big return in episode 6, which is just the flashback.
Yeah, which I'm
But
guess
they're
we're
trying
going.
to hook people back
Okay,
in with
okay.
the
So
whole.
when what were you saying? Go ahead.
They're trying to hook people back in with the Joel stuff, but again, it's too little, too late. Like they had two decisions to go with this whole thing. Okay, is that they didn't have to follow the game, which we know that that wasn't going to happen because Neil Druckmann, he's an executive producer on the series, and he's the one that wrote the first one and the second one. And he's trying to convince everybody that the second game is in this magnificent, amazing game when no one liked it. A lot of people hated it. They keep re-releasing it, keep putting it out to try and shoehorn it down people's throats. Like, oh no, this is really a masterpiece of a game. It's really great. When he's trying to force feed it down people's throats. So the only way that they could have cured this entire thing is by not killing Joel in the second episode. Like I mentioned in the previous episodes, is that Ellie gets captured, taken to Washington. Joel has to go after her, and then he ends up dying in Washington. Right? That would have been able to flesh out all the other characters in the story. Like, no matter how many times you hear about Joel dying in the second game, everyone hated that. Nobody liked that. Okay, no one liked that even when they were playing the games. Okay, so they should have course corrected and done it differently because they knew that the same thing was going to happen here, and they've given us literally nothing to root for any of the characters. The only thing that was rooting for Ellie was getting revenge for Joel, but we haven't even gotten that. We've gotten a freaking vacation, love romance trip to Washington.
Yes.
And up until this episode, have we gotten any type of little sliver of that revenge? She should have
I
already.
guess she beat Nora to death. So.
They should have done this from the jump. They should have been, if they're trying to speed up this whole thing and shoehorn all this garbage in there, this should have happened in the third episode. We should have had Ellie find her or somebody from that gang. How many of them were there? Like seven? Like seven of them? The WLF people?
6. Oh, Abby. Well, two guys, two girls.
Some woman should have been found in the third episode. And then that could have given her more information on where to find the others. Okay. Instead of Dina doing her fucking stupid ass triangulation of the
Of the
walkie
radios.
talkies. Oh, and that's another thing about the walkie talkies. Okay, well, the Dina mentioned that they talk like no one's listening, right? And then Ellie comes in and is like, "Oh well, the other group, the Seraphites or whatever, they don't use technology." Okay,
Right. Hmm. They whistle.
They do a little whistling, and it alerts everyone. Whatever. Okay, that's fine. But should you still not, as a precaution, not say give away all of the information through the walkie-talkies? That just because that the Seraphites don't use technology and can't find where you are doesn't mean that no other human they're operating like that they're the only other human group in the freaking
Right.
world.
Right.
Bro, they're stupid. Everyone's stupid in this show.
Now, I don't know. That somebody's a damn good shot because somehow in the thick of the night, Dina gets shot in the leg with an arrow. I said, how the hell that happened? They in the bushes, thick of the night. Lock up. I said, that's impressive, sir. I was like, man, that is absolutely impressive. I was impressed on that. I was like, okay, okay, I hear y'all, Seraphites. Hey, like I said, they got that whistling, they got that sonar.
And
That's
not
what they
only
got.
that, okay, I don't know if you've ever been, I'm sure you have, XQ, and I'm sure other people have been in the like camping at night and like have a fire or have like a bright light around. Whenever you have a bright light source in the middle of the night, you cannot see any amount of distance other than what's immediately
No,
around you.
no. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
If you have a freaking torch, or if you have like a any kind of light source that's around you, like you can't see freaking more than 5 to 10 feet in front of you. The
Yeah,
torch
you're
and the
right.
fire is meant to light up your immediate surrounding area. The torch doesn't serve as a giant freaking flashlight like a spotlight to where you can see freaking hundreds of feet in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah,
everyone's got
yeah, that's
torches,
true.
they can literally only see 5 to 6 feet in front of them at any given time.
Yeah, you're right about that. You spot on about that. You're spot on. But things are a little bit different. I took right. It's the whistling. They were whistling back and forth, and somehow that was triangulating the position. You know what I'm saying? I don't
So you
know. I
got the
don't know how that
whistling,
was.
triangulating the positions of them. You got the freaking walkie-talkie radio, ham radios, triangulating the positions of the other one. It's just like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we even doing?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And then we don't even know the motivations of these people. We don't even know the motivations of the freaking cult religious zealots.
Yeah, not really. Like, and it's not going to be explained, not this season, because episode 6 is going to be a total flashback. Now, when uh when Nora when Ellie was talking to Nora right before she beat her to death, and they said, "Hey, you know what Joel did? Um, you know, he killed Abby's father." And she's like, "Yeah, I know." In the game, she doesn't know, but this episode 6 is going to be the whole premise of Ellie finding out, or Joel telling Ellie that, yeah, I killed all the people at the hospital to save. And I'm assuming that we're going to see some of Eugene because they made it seem like he was a big deal. So, I mean, you got to see some Eugene in this one. I'm assuming we're going to see Joel have to shoot Eugene. That's what I assume.
I mean, I hope so, but even then, it doesn't redeem these last 3 episodes that we've had. I don't think that there's anything that they can do at this point to redeem what's happened so far. Not in my eyes, at least. Like, they're going to have to pull some magic freaking juju to, like,
They
get
ain't got
me
but two
to.
episodes, Ryder. There ain't much magic left unless they're going to be 2 hours apiece.
They gotta be. They have to be longer. They can't do two more 45-minute episodes.
Oh, there's too much to cover. And dang, you want people to feel like that maybe they want to watch it next season. You want to give that feeling. So I think me and you can both agree that it's been a missed opportunity. Like this there's so much potential here. Like, I don't know, coming off the heels of the Penguin, which gave you a full spectrum of emotion. You go from, the Penguin being a trash individual, then you kind of feel sorry for him, then you kind of root for him. Then at the end, when he strangles Vic to death, spoiler alert, you like, you piece of shit. Where's Batman to whoop your ass right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, you get the full spectrum of emotion, and he's a villain, you know, and he's a villain. But God, but the way they did that, the way they did that whole series, it was like it was perfect.
It was freaking
Everybody was
incredible.
fleshed out. It had a direction.
It did, and you understood it, and you understood the character's motivations. Like, if you're going to make people root for a bad guy, you have to understand where they're coming from and understand their perspective. Okay, you just can't shoehorn a person in there like Abby and then expect people to root for Abby. That just came in and killed your most beloved character of the entire franchise. Nobody is going to like her. And she hasn't been in 3 episodes so far.
And
And if
she's
you
got
do
no
the
nuance.
entire next season with
Yeah,
from her perspective, no one is going to care. They're going to hate it even more because you've done screwed up this entire thing.
right. She has no nuance at all. So that, I mean, that's the number one issue, is that even villains need screen time, you know, to flesh out their character.
The
They
main,
even need to
how
be
you do
developed.
this amazingly is the way that they did Game of Thrones. Okay, the way that they did Game of Thrones was freaking brilliant. Okay, you had all of these other characters that had already been set up perfectly. And then they killed Ned Stark at the end of the first season. Okay, he was my favorite character.
Hmm.
He was everyone's favorite character in the first season of Game of Thrones. Okay, off with his head at the end of the first season, and you're like, what the fuck? I can't believe they just did that. Holy shit. Okay, but you came back. You came back again because the show did nothing but get better. And they had already set up all these other people. You had Danny, you had the Jon Snow up at the wall, you had Rob Stark, which was the new, King of the North. Okay, you had all these
Hmm.
other people. You had Jaime Lannister, and you had Tywin Lannister that was on his road trip. You had Jaime that was back in King's Landing. You had Cersei. You had all these other people, and it was they knew that it was safe to do it then because they'd already built out all these other characters. And
Right.
then your attention falls to Rob Stark, which is would be the new king, and then you're like, okay, he's my favorite character now. He's great, but all the while they're building up Jon Snow in the background at freaking at the wall. Okay, and then they're also building up Danny, and then they're also building up Jamie. So then when it was time to kill off Rob at the Red Wedding in season 4, it was like, okay, this is great. This is cool. It was very shocking. Everyone was shocked whenever that happened, but we'd already learned that they kill off main characters like that they're like essentially nothing.
Right. Hmm. Yeah.
But that's okay because they have all these other characters that people are growing to love within the show. With The Last of Us, nobody loved Ellie. They were like, okay, she's there, she's okay, she's likable, but we don't love her. She's not the main driving force behind the show. And then they shoehorn
Right.
in all these other characters that we had know nothing about in the second season that wasn't even in the first season. Besides, like Tommy and some of the people in Jackson, the, the time jumps killed this show. The time jumps screwed this entire freaking show, wrecked it. They should not have done any of the time jumps. There should have been 10 episodes. And if it's not 10 episodes, then it should have been uh at least an hour and a half, 7 episode series. And there shouldn't have been, what was the first time jump? Wasn't it like 3 years or something like that?
Really? 3 or 5?
That's
It's
where
either
they
three or
screwed up.
five.
And it also
Yeah.
gave no weight to the Joel character. Like, honestly, I didn't even feel really anything for him whenever Abby was killing him because he
Well, we
did
didn't see his
nothing.
we didn't see his transformation.
We didn't see any of it. We didn't know what was freaking going on because they didn't explain it. They didn't show it. They immediately did a 3 to 5 year time jump in the first episode. And then they did another 3 month time jump after Joel died. We didn't get to see any of that. We didn't get to see any of that character arc, any of that character development. I literally gave two shits about Joel whenever he died. I really did not care because we didn't get to see him do anything. And it had been 2 years since we'd seen the last season. Anything that I felt for him was 2 years ago. I would have had to
Yeah,
rewatch the
that's very
entire
true.
first season and then
Yeah.
is that
I mean, I'm
everybody
with you.
had this remnant, this thought, and this memory of Joel being a super badass and like everyone loving Joel. And then we get to him and he's like this, they portray him like an old man that like doesn't do anything now. That
Yeah, yeah,
he just builds houses and is in a strange relationship with his daughter that's living in his garage.
yep,
That might sound super nitpicky and whatever, but it's just the way that I feel about the show. They screwed everything up that they possibly could have screwed up in this show
yeah,
right
yeah.
from the
Because
jump.
they could have
Right from
easily.
the first episode. If you remember me talking about the first episode, if you guys want to go back and listen to the first episode that we did of this, season 2, episode 1, I was like, this is garbage. This is garbage. I said that I didn't like it. I said that I hated it. If you remember, I said this is
Yeah,
shit. This is dog shit. And it has been. Only redeeming quality of the entire season has been episode 2. And that was just because of the cinematography and the photography and everything that was going on and how it was directed. Didn't even have anything to do with the characters. It just looked really good.
mm-hmm. There it is, boys. All right, so episode 6 is coming out. 100% sure it's going to be an entire flashback of the entirety of the episode. And to be honest, if you wanted a more of a, let's say, you could, you know what they could have did, Ryder? I'm gonna throw this out there. If folks would get off their ass and actually record shit, but it's an issue because everybody wants to put Pedro Pascal in every fucking project that they have. Um, so we can't become just a character like you used to 20, 30 years ago. That's who you were known as. But what they could have did, we could have picked up immediately following them standing on that mountain saying that, I swear that, uh, this is what happened and I ain't hurt nobody. We could go immediately from that. And you could, if you wanted some downtime to build the tension up to this point, you know what you could have did with the second season? We could have not had a time jump. We could have seen the deterioration of Joel and Ellie's character, and then we could have seen the build up of Abby coming to find Joel.
Yep. That's the way they should have done it. It would have made everything so much better, so much easier. We would have understood Abby more. It would not have been this complete and utter shit show of a season that we've gotten so far. It would have really have fixed everything. And if they would have waited until like episode 3 or 4 to kill him, at least 3, at least give us 2, at least pick up right after season 1 in episode 1. And then after the first episode of season 2, pick up right on, and then do the time jump in episode 2. Then you can do the time jump. Okay.
Right.
But immediately starting with a time jump is like, what is going on here? We don't understand. I don't understand any of this shit. I don't
Yeah,
know
because
what's
you
going
miss
on.
any development. You miss all
All
the
these
development.
things have happened off screen. Every single thing has happened off screen.
Right. Right. And so that's the number one
And,
issue.
and
So
then you don't even have to do an entire episode of the Joel flashback. You wouldn't even have to
right,
do it.
exactly. hmm Because we've had a season of seeing what exactly happened. We had a season of seeing that. We had a season of seeing how this has affected Abby, and we could actually see how maybe she's making some poor decisions, as because they were the last of the Fireflies. How she was making poor decisions, and maybe how she had to end up joining the WLF because of the poor decision making, because she had so much rage that she wanted to go find Joel and kill Joel. We could have seen some intricacies with the WLF and maybe the scars and the Seraphites and Isaac and all that stuff. So there's a whole lot if he flushed out if they went like, oh, we need to rush in, but then we rushed in, but we had no substance.
Exactly. That's exactly right. They tried to do the most shocking thing, which was to kill Joel in the second episode, and it didn't work. They lost it. They lost the plot, and they lost the plot hard, and it's driving right over a cliff into his demise.
Right, right. So, guys, this we're gonna stop banging on it for today. Episode 5. Maybe at least episode 6 might be, at least a good flashback. Maybe. I guess that's all we can hope for. That's all we can hope for. So we'll be back with y'all next week. Make sure you're checking out all of Ryder Lee's content. He's on YouTube, Raised by Giants. Also has a couple of documentaries on Tubi as well. So support for him would be great. We appreciate him for being with us, doing a review on The Last of Us, and we plan on having him in the future. Because he's a movie buff, TV buff. So we'll be able to discuss some things in the future as well. All this stuff can be found YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, all podcast platforms in the Showtime with the Cube. So we appreciate everybody for checking us out. We'll catch y'all next week. Showtime with the Cube. Peace out.
Peace.